You know, I got on the scene probably about 10 minutes after the tornado came through here. People were making their way to the fire station, even though it had just about been blown away, because they were looking for help. My heart just sank. Then I walked up a little bit further, and I saw, looking out towards the east, the massive devastation that had taken place in this community. And I know the mayor is supposed to be someone who's strong and who can provide the leadership, but my knees got weak. They got weak because I said, Lord, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What can I do to show the people that all is not lost?
Oh man, it was a day that everybody was in shock. You heard the thing, they said shock and awe, and to see the people running up and down the street with blood and dripping and crying and nowhere to go. And I mean, it was a scene that I don't want to live through again. People had no hope, no vision, no nothing. Everything that they owned was gone. It was just a horrible scene.
I had never seen anything like it. I get chill bumps now thinking about it. I am a designer, a planner. I think I understand where I am in the world. And you looked and you really didn't know where you were in the world. And that was so disorienting. The world here has changed.
When I got here about 10 to 15 minutes after, it looked almost as if a nuclear bomb had gone off and destroyed everything in sight.
I know you've seen this. Look when they dropped the bomb on in Japan, Hiroshima. This is the way this community looked.
I looked and I couldn't see anything. I just saw damage. I just saw the whole area he was standing here was nothing, was wiped out.
Today marks the 3rd anniversary of the tornado that struck back on April 27, 2011. Today is a time to demonstrate how far we've come to the commitment to the citizens of this area that we will rebuild it back stronger and better than it was before.
So you start looking at priorities. What do we do? You know, how do we get started? The first thing is you look for leadership, look for direction. And the mayor basically stepped up on first hour and said that we need to help these people. We need to come in here and help and rebuild. And that's when I recommended to Mayor Bell that we need to engage AIA.
I had never heard of UDAT. And a few days after the storm had rolled through, Andre Bitter said, you know, there's a program within AIA called UDAT that we can bring them in. And a lot of the things that you see that are being implemented is because of that program, and I'm thoroughly grateful for that.
The UDAT was very important to get the community's input as to what they wanted to see. I don't think anybody likes someone else telling them what should be in their community. I know I wouldn't.
When the AIA came down, what came of that was the UDAT plan, which gave us a great foundation, a platform to really understand what the needs of the communities are. Just pick from that plan some ideas that we can sort of hit the ground running with. And I think this fire station is an example of that, the library is an example of that, the senior housing is an example of that.
What I have learned is when you're dealing with this, and once your plans have been set, and once you've had the community to come out and you vote on something, you push forward. You cannot stop and back up. And I tell the people, we're not going to be like New Orleans. This is the plan, you voted on it, and this is what it's going to be. And look at us now.
We went back to meet to see what was the first thing that we could get done. And this library was the most important thing to get done first.
This facility was already considered the living room of the community, the hub of the community, and a place where people don't just come here to go to the library, they come here for community meetings and for neighborhood meetings.
They were just adamant. We're going to build it, we're going to make it bigger and better, and we're going to give the community everything they want, and that is what they have done, and the community is just so happy.
This was the central focus of rebuilding Pratt. And so this library became the priority. But the fire station was also a priority.
Having a fire station, of course, you know, you got to have that in place before you start bringing anything else back in, because you got to have somebody to protect whatever you bring in. For the last 3 years, we've done that out of a tent to make sure that we're always here to do that.
Developing a plan early in the process kind of gave us the roadmap. And using the roadmap really helped us prioritize these areas, because we know there's areas, you know, we need to bring up online first: the libraries, the fire station, the road network, the power, you know, the infrastructure. So we started doing that, and that came out of the plan. So really having a plan and a roadmap really helped us with that effort tremendously.
When you think about greatest challenges in community rebuilding, it seems overwhelming, and the challenge and hopelessness at a certain level. So there's energy and determination, but at the same time, in a community like this, your life has been turned upside down.
A lot of people said, well, I'm not coming back. I'm just not, I've had it, and I'm saying, look, stay.
There was a lot of talk. Many people were in despair after the storms, and I knew that it was my role to encourage people that we would keep our commitment to rebuild this neighborhood.
Initially, we were concerned about being able to rebuild the fire station. When I looked at the insurance monies that we had, of course, it was not enough to build a fire station. It was not enough to put a roof on a fire station. None of this stuff happened without money.
We could not have done this without our mayor. Every time he ever went to the White House, I know he was asking for money.
Oftentimes we think that there's a pot of lump sum of money sitting somewhere that you can just go and get it and then start the work. When in reality, you have to look high and low, both for federal, state, municipal dollars, as well as private sector dollars, to cobble all of those dollars together to be able to rebuild the library, to rebuild our fire station, build houses in this community. And so that was a great challenge. But each step of the way has been a partnership between the neighborhood, the public sector, and the private sector. We had great partners who stepped up and said, we'll make it easy for you.
Part of the partnership and part of why there's been some success in recovery is the generosity of our community, people who volunteered, and it's also because of the generosity of donors.
I think partnerships is really key to everything that we do. The administration has been working diligently with neighborhood residents who are super committed.
All of the people, residents, employees of the city, the faith-based community, civic partners, everybody's pulling together. Now, one brick alone doesn't make a building. The bricks on top of each other and put together by the mortar is an example of how we all have to work together. Partnerships are incredibly important. No one more important than the other, but all working together.
Each step of the way has been a partnership between the neighborhood, the public sector, and the private sector to rebuild this library, rebuild the fire station, build senior citizens' home, improve the infrastructure in this community. It's been a labor of love.
It's very vital to have people engaged in the process from day one, because they're going to live here, they're going to work here, they're going to raise their children here. So they know more than anybody. They know more than us. And when you get their input and commitment and their buy-in, they will support you. And to me, what the tornado brought, it's not just, building and roads. It's really brought back community strength, people coming together. And that's what I felt, that it's not just the brick and mortar kind of thing. It's the people that live here that had that much pride, and you can see them united.
Storms come in your life, but every now and then when the storm comes, what happens? You rise above the storm. Pratt City has risen above the storm. The storm couldn't destroy us. Negativity couldn't destroy us. The only thing that kept us together was God and a belief that Pratt City would come back. And we are realizing that dream and that vision today.
We're on our way back, Pratt City. We're on our way back. Pratt City is experiencing a renaissance, a real transformation. Pratt City is going to be the example. Pratt City is going to be the test where we show people what happens when the community, when government, when private come together for a greater community. And that's what we have here. Well, Pratt City is the beacon. I welcome you to this area. Thank you so much.